Today we're going to do a black and white colorization of a picture of Elizabeth Taylor. Let me bring up the picture first. So let's find that Elizabeth Taylor picture, and here it is, black and white. As you can see, it's a very high quality black and white picture. Better to colorize high quality pictures. Pictures will colorize much better. Before we get started, even though the picture does look fairly good, what we're going to do is we're going to make some adjustments to it. And what I like to do before I even get started is play around with the shadows and highlights. And I just went into the adjustment for shadows and highlights. This is what we have to start. And let's see what we can do to enhance the picture before we even get started with the colorization. If you notice right here in her cheek area, maybe even around her neck area, and even in the hand, it's a little bright. So what we'll do is we'll try to take that highlight down a little bit. And if you notice right around her cheek, you start to see a little bit more detail. Let me just show you that again. See, you don't see it there. Now we take it away and you actually see a little bit. Her hair looks pretty good here, but we're going to take some of that shadow away so we can see more clarity within the hair. So I'm not going to make too many changes here, so I'll hit OK. So this is the picture we're going to start out with. I'll just caution you to make sure that before you get started, especially when you grab a black and white picture, that you actually change it from grayscale to RGB. In this particular case, if you look up here in the corner, it's a gray image. We can't colorize a gray image, so what we will do is we will change the mode from grayscale to RGB. Now we'll be able to color it. So we're going to start the colorization with the flesh area, skin tone area, which is the major portion of this colorization. So here, let's get started, and I will explain along the way the process that I'm using. So basically, what I'm trying to do here is be non-destructive. What I mean is I'm never going to directly alter the original black and white. So what we're going to use are layers called adjustment layers, and to get an idea of what that really is assume that you have this black and white picture laying on a tabletop, and you're going to put a series of plastic layers on top of it, and each of those layers has some color to it. So if you mess up one of the layers, you can just destroy the layer and recreate it. However, the original doesn't get touched. So I think you'll see along the way what I'm going to be doing. First thing is we want to highlight a particular area that we want to colorize. I like to use the quick selection tool. Quick selection tool is over here on the left in the toolbar. I'll click on that, and the quick selection tool is an additive process. If you like it to be that way, if you notice the little plus sign in the center, that means that every time I click, it'll try to add more of a selection. So what I'm going to do is start here at the top of her head and just drag down, and Photoshop is going to make an attempt to find the edges for me. It's doing a fairly good job here. It did grab a little bit of her dress, and I'll show you how to correct that later. So I'm going to click over here on her arm, and you notice it went a little far out on the arm also, and then the other part of her arm I selected also. So a pretty good first pass on the selection. With the quick selection tool, you can go up into the toolbar and change it to a minus sign, which basically means every time you'll click, you'll take away rather than add. The other method I like to use is holding down the Alt key, and it turns into a minus. So I'll go right over to the spot I don't want, click it, and it'll make an attempt, in a good attempt here, to find the edge. I'll do the same thing with the dress a couple of times. And I wouldn't worry about what we've selected or not selected, because we can correct that later, and I'll show you that process later. So anyway, what we see right now is the selection of her fleshy areas. And if you want to get a better picture of what you've highlighted, you can hit the Q key, and that'll show the mask, what we're masking out. And you can see right there that we've pretty much masked out all of the flesh tone areas. Q again will get you back to the screen we were originally working on. So now we're going to add an adjustment layer. Okay, so down here in the lower right corner, there's in the layers area, there's an icon there for create new fill or adjustment layer. Now we're on the background layer, which is the bottom layer, and we're going to hit create adjustment layer. We're going to select solid color, and now the area that we have highlighted will be filled with whatever color we want to put in there. Now it looks a little strange at this particular point because it's filling it with a solid color. What we're going to try to do is simulate skin tone, and to make things go a little bit quicker, I actually have some color combinations that I'd like to use rather than spending time during this demo trying to pick a color. So my base skin color is going to be the color you see here. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to change the blending mode. Okay, so we've created another layer. It's this tannish color. Here's what we've masked out. What you see in white is masked out, and it's normal. So we're going to change that normal to color, and now you can see how the color is applied to the area that we masked out. So that actually looks pretty good for a skin tone. However, the trick is that skin tone is usually a combination of colors, brown, red, even blue. So why don't we add another layer on top of this for the skin, and we'll put some red on it. So what we'll do is we'll go over again, we'll create another adjustment layer, and we'll say it's a solid color, and it's going to be some version of red. Again, I've picked out some colors that are appropriate for this particular skin tone, so I'm going to put those in right now. So here's the red color that we're going to use. It's more of a pinkish color, and I'm going to hit OK. Now if you notice that over here in the new layer, the white area for the mask, white means all the color shows through. Black means none of the color shows through. So if we go back to the previous layer, you see the white area is the skin tone that we're letting the color show through, and the black isn't. So if you paint with black, you're covering up the color. You paint with white, you're showing the color. So over here we're showing all of the color, but it's not masked to anything, so that's why you see the whole red area. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer and attach it to the previous mask. Very simply done is hold down the Alt key. You'll see the arrow that points down, basically saying if you click once, it'll attach it to the previous layer, so it'll take on the masking of that layer, and as you can see, the red shows through. Now that's not a good look, so what we will do is we will change the blending method or mode to soft light, and now it's starting to look a little more like a normal skin tone. But what we'll do is we'll play around with the opacity just a little bit, so as to not have all the red show through. So let's go down to somewhere in the 40 range. Let's go back to the previous layer, maybe change that a little bit, and you can spend a lot of time playing around with these colors and opacities, but that actually looks pretty good. In this case, I think we could probably use a little more color, so what I'm going to do is the same process as we just did. I'm going to add another layer, another adjustment layer, solid color. Again, I know the color I'm going to use, so bear with me as I type that in. So that's a more intense red, but we may not use as much of it when we play around with our opacity. Again, to get the red layer to attach to the previous two, we hit the Alt key. There's the down arrow. It's attaching to the previous layer. We're going to change the color blending mode to color, and then again that's way too red. So what we're going to do is we're going to just bring it down to, I'd say about right there. Sounds good. Okay, so this is what we think her skin might have looked like when this picture was taken. It's a combination of 3 colors, and again I'll shut the colors off just to show you how we developed this. So first layer was a tan layer, so that's what it looked like. Again, not bad, but we enhanced it a little bit more with a softer red, again getting better, and then we added a little bit more red to give it that natural look. So that's what the fleshy areas look like. Now what we did, and we'll have to correct, is the lips, the eyes, and the eyebrows are all colored the same as the skin, and that's not natural. So let me show you how we take away the color from the skin and we prepare it for another color. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and as you heard me mention earlier, when you paint on a layer with black, you take away color. When you paint on it with white, you add color. So I clicked on the skin layer here, and I'm going to go over and change our color from black to from white to black as a primary color. I'm going to grab the paintbrush, and I'm going to color around her lips, and as we color in black, you'll notice we're just taking away the color we originally added, and now there is no color on her lips. So we're going to just do that real quick, and we're going to do the same for her eyes. So we're just taking away the color that we originally put in on when we were developing the skin tone layer. So no eye color, no lips, and now we're going to change, we're going to take away the eyebrows. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom back out and I'll show you what it looks like now. So bottom line is we have just colored only the skin tone areas, and that's basically all we wanted to do at this particular point. So now let's just repeat the process that we've done earlier with the color adjustment layers, but we'll do it with the lips right now. I'm going to again select my quick selection tool, and hopefully we can get a good mask on the lips. So I'll take a click here. Actually, I made a mistake. I'm going to so let me back up. I'm going to deselect. Anytime you make a selection, you have to be on the base layer. So I just went over to the base layer. When I made that initial selection, I was on an adjustment layer, which doesn't help us out. So we go into the background layer. I click there. Again, adjustment tool. Here we go. So now it selected the lips. Now it's just a matter of selecting a color. We hit adjustment layer, solid color. Now we can play around with whatever color we want. Again, I have, to save time, I have a color that I've already selected for the lips, and let me put that in. Okay, so that's the red we're going to use. We're going to change the blending mode to color and back it away, and that's the initial color that I selected. However, it may be not quite the red we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the opacity just a little, take some of that brightness away, and we're going to go down to I'd say about 75, and that probably looks better for the era that we're talking about when this picture was probably taken, which is probably the late 50s, early 60s. So we'll leave the lips at that particular color, and again we'll repeat the process for the eyes. Again, select background layer, make sure that we're on the quick selection tool, and we're going to go in and going to select the eyes. So I did a click and it actually took too much as far as the selection, so I'm going to hit the minus key, draw around the eye, and you don't have to get the whole eye. As long as you get the color, you can paint in the rest later. This is what we're going to do. So I've selected that. I'll hit the adjustment. We'll add an adjustment layer. We'll go to select the color. Again, Elizabeth Taylor was known for her violet eyes, so we're going to probably have to get more of a purpley kind of a color. And again, I have that that color, already selected, so I'm just going to type that in down here. So that's a little too purple, so let me just show you what we can do with some of the blending options. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it from normal to color, and again, that's still way too purple. That's almost cartoonish. So instead of using this blending layer, we're going to use soft light. So let's go to soft light, which should make it a little bit darker, which it does. And we probably still want to go a little bit darker, so we're going to tone down the opacity just a little to give it more violet of a color. So let's go down just about here is good. 79 is good. So let's back away, and you can see what it looks like. Too far. There you go. So that's probably close to what we're looking for. So let's go back. I selected the layer we just did for the eyes. I clicked on the mask. I'm going to now click on my paintbrush. I'm going to make sure that white is the color, because remember, white will bring the color through. So let's just paint over the eyes. So the eye is completely filled in. Over here had no color, so we're just going to actually messed up on that. So let me back up. Paint the eyes. Okay. Looks like we got a little stray color here. I'll get that away. So, so there's the eye. The eyes are done now. And let's move on to the hair. Same basic principle for the hair. Again, go to the base layer. Make sure you have the quick selection tool selected. And we're going to show a little bit more of the functionality of the quick selection tool with the hair, and I'll explain as we go. So I'm going to highlight the hair as best I can. It's doing a fairly good job getting the edges for the hair. So there is a little bit of a trick technique for doing hair that is, or that has, I should say, that has a background showing through. Very tough to do to highlight some of that hair so that you can still see the background. So there's my selection. Again, I'll show you with the quick mask key what we've selected. Obviously over here on the left side, we're going to want to have more of the background come through, and I'll show you one of the features of the quick selection tool that'll help us with that. And if you notice up here, when I have quick selection tool active, I can click the button at the top that says refine edges. So I'm going to bring up that window. I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of a radius, and then what I'm going to do is just simply swipe over where there is hair that is sticking out and is requiring us to have some of the background come through. So I'm not going to play around too much with this, but basically I did a swipe, and you can see it just enhanced my selections. It actually cut down some of the selections of the background. And you're never going to be perfect on this, but if you can grab a few hairs that can be taken from the background, it'll enhance the picture. So just to show you what I mean, I'm going to go over and simulate that mask like I did earlier and show you what I've actually selected, and you can see it really did a pretty good job of trying to isolate some of the hair. So I'm going to select OK, and now it's just a matter of selecting a color. So we have our selection. We're going to add another color adjustment layer. I'll hit solid color, and I'm going to go probably somewhere in the brown range for her. And again, I have a selection already mapped out for her, so I'm going to type that in. So that's the brown we're looking at. I'll hit OK. Again, let's change the blending mode to color and see where we're at. So that looks pretty good, and you can see that the hair is more detailed, and that's because we did that step earlier where we changed the shadows and the highlights, so we could see a little bit more of her hair. So at this point we need to color in her eyebrows, so I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to select the mask for the brown we just did. We're going to make sure that we are having our brush tool selected, and white. Again, white adds color, black takes it away. So we're on white. I'm just going to color her eyebrows and quickly here. See how that works. Looks pretty good. So now we pretty much have, and you can touch up if you want. Again, for demo purposes, I'm going a little bit quicker. But what I forgot to point out was that if you notice that selection we did with the quick selection tool actually did highlight some of the hairs that were against the background. They did a pretty good job. So what we have right now is basically her skin, hair, eyes, lips all colored. One last trick that we can do with the skin tone is maybe give her a little blush. And with faces, you do have a little bit of red in the eye, in the nose area, in the chin area, in the ears, and the cheeks where the skin is thinner. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another layer, and this is a little trick. So it's similar to what we've been doing, but there are a couple of little changes. So I'm going to go to the last red layer that we put in on her skin tone. Remember, we did the brownish layer and then the two red layers. So we're going to add one more. So I'm going to hit adjustment layer, solid color again, and I'm going to put in another color that will be more like a blush. So let me put that color in. Okay, so it's more like a blush color, and we'll hit OK. And just like before, we're going to attach that layer that we just created to the previous skin layers, and you can see what we have right now. Now that's way too much red, and so here's the trick. So as I mentioned earlier, when you're on a layer and it's white, the white shows the color through. If it's black, you don't see any of the color. In this particular case, we don't want to see any of the color, at least right for now. So we're going to click on the mask layer and hit Control I, which is inverse. So it inverts the white to the black, and now we see none of the color. And here's the reason why we did that, because what we want to do is we want to put some color in her chin, her cheeks, her nose. So again, how do we add color? We paint with white. So we have the brush tool selected, we have white selected, and now I'm going to paint with the color that I just added. So now if I start painting, I mean, this is a little too intense. at this particular point. So let me just back off. I did that purposely to show you what we're going to do. Another little trick. So I'm going to undo the brush tool, step backward, and before I start painting, I'm going to change the opacity to about, let's say, 10%. So now when I paint, I'm going to have a much dimmer color. So now I'm going to paint in her cheeks, and you notice just very slightly you see the color. Chin, same thing. Nose, just a little, and her cheek, just a little. Now, again, at first glance, you might look like I didn't do anything. So let me shut off the layer just to show you exactly what happened. So there's the original. I just shut off the layer. Now here's with the highlighting, and you can see it just gives it a little bit more of a natural look. So right now, I would say we're pretty much done with, again, the actual skin tones, hair, lips, eyes. So let's quickly, since I'm taking up a lot of time here, let's quickly do the dress. But before we do the dress, you notice she has some jewelry on. She has a ring, she has a bracelet, and it may still be colored with the skin tone. So what we're going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to highlight the skin tone. I'm going to change the brush to black so we can erase any color. So I'm just going to go over the jewelry. May not even show up if anything is really happening here, but basically what I'm doing is I'm painting away the color of the skin tone from the jewelry. So here's another trick that you can try. Colors may look different, I should say, on different sections of a picture. For instance, the hair right here is brown, but if we take a chance here, and let's see if it'll work, we can take that brown and put it on this jewelry, and since it's highlighted, it's a little bit lighter than the hair, it'll give us a different color, and my suspicion is that the color will look more like gold, and we can probably get away with not having to go through that whole color layer process. So let's give it a shot. And it looks like I didn't do a very good job here on erasing the jewelry. Let's try it again and see if we can get rid of it. Oh, I know why we didn't do it, because we have the opacity level still at 10%, so it's not grabbing it. So now we're back to 100%, and then the color comes right away. Okay, so I'll make it white again, brush tool, let's select the hair color layer, and let's paint the brown on the jewelry, and I think this is going to work. So bottom line is, I took the brown, it's on a bright area, and it doesn't really look brown, it looks more gold. When we pull away, it should look pretty good. So let's do that. Pull away, and you can see, even though it's the same color as the hair, it's a different color. It definitely looks like it's gold, so we'll leave it. Let's do the final couple of steps here, and I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. Same technique as we used before, but this time we're gonna highlight the dress. I'm gonna select the quick selection tool and the dark sections of her dress, and let's see if Photoshop helps us out here. Not too bad. Let's go over here. Again, you don't have to be perfect, because you can always do the corrections, and I'm just selecting as best I can. So that's not bad of a selection. I'm going to use the minus here. So let's pick a color, and let's go add an adjustment layer, as we've done in the past. Add an adjustment layer, select the color, And again, I've kind of mapped out a color that we can use, and it's more like a sort of like a burgundy color. So let me type that in. Change the blending mode to color, and that actually looks pretty good. Looks like we have some areas we need to touch up, so let's do that real quick. I'm going to zoom in, and so here's an area we need to add color, here's an area we need to take color away. So select the brush tool, and I'll flip it to black so that we can erase some of the color. So what we're going to do is erase color that blended into the other part of the dress, and then we're going to add where we missed. And again, the color will take on the attributes of the brightness, and in this particular case it is the same color, it's just that there's more light shining on that edge of the dress, so it doesn't appear to be as dark, but it is. When I pull away, you'll see it is a natural color. While we're at it, let's go check the other side, and which actually looks pretty good. No adjustments needed here. So there's what the first part of the dress looks like. Quickly, we'll do another layer for the other color, and Photoshop seems to be helping us out here with the quick selection tool. We'll paint in the rest. I'm just going to move a little bit quicker here. Again, there's our selection. Let's see if I can do one more here. Went too far, so I'm just going to back up. So there's our selection, another color adjustment layer, another solid color selection, and we're going to go for more of a gold here. So I'm going to put a color in that I have pre-selected for gold. And there's the gold color. We'll change the blending mode this time to soft light, and that looks pretty good. We'll take the opacity down just a little, and that seems to be a fairly good color right there. I'll zoom in because we did miss a few areas. So again, select your brush tool, paint with a white brush, and let's see if we can just fill in the color that we missed over here. Do this quickly. Obviously, if you're working without some time constraints of a tutorial, you can get a little bit more detailed. So I'm just going to go through it quickly here and fill that in. That looks pretty good. Go to the other side, see if we missed anything, which we did. So fill in over here. And you can see we have a little bit of red that kind of bled in from the other side of the dress, so we'll quickly go in there and paint that out. And I think we're okay. So let's back away, see what it looks like. So here's what our image looks like. And we missed a little bit of gold over here, but we can correct that as I'm talking. So bottom line is that we have gotten through the colorization of Elizabeth Taylor. There are a couple of things we could do. We'd do the background, we could do her fingernails. That would just take a little bit longer, but not bad for a few minutes work. I will bring up the picture that I did previously with the background, with her fingernails done, and you can see that it looks really nice when you take the time to do some of that other detailed work. So that was the image I did earlier. This is the one we just did, and you can see that it's a good colorization of Elizabeth Taylor. And like I said earlier, if you have a really high quality picture, it works out that much better. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to leave any comments, that would be great. If not, I'll try to post another one soon, and I'll speak to everyone soon.